So today we're here to talk about Tobii Dynavox Snap, and we're doing a focus on the core first page set today. So some of you might have joined some of our other webinars with the pod page set. There's one coming up on aphasia and text-based page set, but today we're just focusing on the core first. So Tobii Dynavox Snap is the newest software out from Tobii Dynavox. It goes on a range of hardware, iPad, Windows 10, and the dedicated Indie i110, i13, and i16 devices. And the Snap software has a range of page sets available. Today we're talking about Core First, outlined in red there, but we also have a range of other page sets available in the software if you want to explore those further. The Core First page set within Tobii Dynavox Snap has all the key features that you already know about Snap. My colleague Lauren did a webinar, just an overview of Tobii Dynavox Snap. So if you're keen to just look at the general features of the app, please watch that recorded webinar. But it has all the key features. It's symbol-based, goes on Windows and iOS. It's, I think, one of the more intuitive programs to program. It's got search features. We can sync across devices. We've got options for accessing the computer via Access It. We've got smart speaker pages, lots and lots of PCS symbols, including high contrast symbols. We can do multiple access methods. We've got free editing in this app and also printing. So all those key features of Tobii Dynavox Snap work within this core first page set. I want to talk just quickly about the background to this core first page set, because I think it's really important we know what's behind an AAC system. It was developed for symbol-based communicators, this specific page set. It was designed for all ages, diagnoses, and also all ability levels. It was also developed for communication partners. So we're going to explore the ecosystem of Core First, and they've added in a lot of supports for communication partners, because we know that a lot of the success of AAC is really dependent on the communication partners and their ability to operate, model, and use the system with the AAC user. It was developed by the Tobii Dynavox clinical team of speech pathologists who are all highly experienced in AAC. They really drew together the AAC research literature. There was also a lot of user testing, so they sent out the app to different users, to their caregivers, and they also engaged expert opinions from around the field in the development of this particular core first page set. There is a document available on the evidence with all the journal articles behind this particular page set. So you might be interested in that. You've got the link on the slides, and we'll put the slides up in a PDF on the Link Assistive website at the end of the webinar. They've also committed to developing AAC supports in different languages. I think traditionally we've mainly had AAC in English, and there's certainly more and more different languages coming out in this core first page set as Tobii Dynavox really develops into different markets around the world. At the moment, this is the list of languages. You'll notice that it's mainly European and some of the South American languages. New languages are coming all the time. So if there are specific languages and clients that you work with that you're looking for solutions for, please let us know at Link Assistive, and we can give that feedback to Tobii Dynavox as they look to expand the languages that Core First is available in. You can also do dual languages. So you might have the Core First set up in English and have a one-click button to flick it over to Spanish or to simplified Chinese. So it's quite easy to flick between two languages within the software as well. So I mentioned that Snap Core First has an ecosystem, and Tobii Dynavox has really tried to integrate the evidence base around the organisation of the app but also the tools and the content that's available within it. The three goals of this app and this ecosystem of support is about engagement, growth, and literacy. Those three key things to support someone to be a competent communicator. They've also really focused on simple setup, editing, searching, syncing across devices, because the feedback they've been getting over the years is about, from really caregivers, wanting things to be easier and quicker and more intuitive. So I'm just going to scroll down a bit. The organisation kind of comes from, the premise comes from one of Blackstone's articles and her social networks tool around the purpose of the communication display is to be able to arrange language in a space. So individuals can, by selecting from the available options, say what they wish to say as quickly as possible and can do so with the minimal amount of effort. And Tobii Dynavox have added to this in saying, while facilitating growth in social engagement, precise language and literacy skills. So as we go through the core first page set, I'm going to be referring to how they've taken this concept of organisation and the tools they've included. You'll notice also in the core first page set that we've got single words where we can formulate sentences word by word, but there's also phrases inbuilt into the software. And the reason behind this is around the research from verbal communicators saying that we really store language and process language in both a novel way, building our sentences word by word, and also in a formulaic way. So if I asked you your coffee order, you've probably got that saved as a chunk in your language system and it just flies out really quickly. So you'll notice that they've got both phrases and word by word construction to try and account for efficiency, but also this thought around formulaic language. So within the core first page set, we've got a range of tools that we're going to have a look at. We've got core vocabulary, which is really common across heaps of AAC systems, word lists or nouns, and keyboards to be able to do those precise sentences and communication that we want to do, versus something like topics and quick fires have phrases that make our communication really efficient. And then we have some tools in between as well. So the idea is to give our AAC users options and different tools depending on where they are, who they're communicating with, and what they need from their AAC system at that particular moment. You're also never stuck in core first. When we go into the software, you'll notice that the orange toolbar is on every page. So there's a clear and consistent way back. So you're always one click away back to your core words to build your novel sentences, or one click to your quick fires to start or maintain a conversation. And you're always one click back. So we're really trying to organise the system that you don't get lost and there's quick navigation between the different tools in the system. So I'm going to open the Snap software. And you may notice that if you've used Tobii Dynavox Snap before, that it looks a little bit different on startup. They've built a wizard now to help you get started. So when you download the app, you can restore an existing user if you've saved it from maybe a trial device, or you can get started with a new user. So I'm going to get started. We can put the name of the person. So I'm going to put my name, Amy L, and what language I'm in. And I just work through the wizard. As I mentioned, Snap has a range of different page sets. Today, we're looking at the symbol-based supports. So we're going to choose needs text with symbol. We've got a range of access methods available in the software. So from our touch access methods, mouse dwell, eye gaze, switch scanning. I'm just going to set up touch today. Then I can select a page set. So Charlene presented on pod last week as an option. We're going to click core first, and gateway is also an option if you're familiar with that page set. I can select the language. I'm going to go to UK. I can select a voice. It's got all the range of a cappella voices. I'm going to be Lisa, the Australian today. And I can choose the grid size. There's a range of grid sizes available from 1 on the page up to 80 on the page. So you want to choose one that suits your users' fine motor and access skills. I'm going to choose the 8x10, the biggest one for today. And that's it. That's how I create a new user. And it'll set me up into the software. So that's what you have to do to start to get into Core First. We're going to talk through the tools around those 3 goal areas of the software: engagement, literacy, and growth. For our goals around growth and literacy, within the software, there's core vocabulary. The particular core vocabulary that's been used in Tobii Dynavox is heavily influenced by the dynamic learning maps professional development team, who are led by Karen Erickson and the team over in the US. So they were looking at a criteria for core around frequency of use and also the flexibility in the academic environment as well. So Tobii Dynavox considered their criteria for core and identify what were important core words, mainly around school-aged children, alongside the literature we already have around common core vocabulary. Again, there's a really nice document around dynamic learning maps and that process to get to the core vocabulary if you're interested in that background. In terms of the growth with that core vocabulary, there's 3 ways that we can encourage growth. We can give robust vocabulary right from the start. So open it all up and have all our words available on the screen. We can also do what we call location-based growth. So within the software, there's a hide and show feature. So we might want to start with lots on the page, but hide things and then fill it in once, kind of as that person's language grows. So that's that middle section there where we can hide buttons and then fill them in as that person's language grows. The other way we can tackle growth using Core First is to start small. So start with less icons on the screen and then grow it into having more icons on the screen. I think your decision around how you set it up for growth is really dependent on your individual. If you've got someone who perhaps is learning switch scanning, learning eye control, and they have some motor difficulties in accessing the smaller icons, maybe you do start with start small and grow big as their accuracy in their eye control or accuracy and efficiency in using their switches improves. So you need to think about the user, but know that you've got those 3 options in terms of growth within this software. So I'm just going to minimize my PowerPoint just to show you the core. So when you launch Snap Core First, you land on the core vocabulary page as your home page. I can build sentences. I want. And all word lists is my categories or my fringe vocabulary. Food and drink. Maybe it's pizza night. Pizza night tonight. Similar to other devices, I can hit the top row, the message window. I want pizza. And it will say the whole sentence for me. I've got that orange toolbar, so I'm never stuck. I get to go back to core words and I'm right back ready to clear my message and say my next sentence. Within the software, if I say I, if you notice that is automatically changed to am, and I've got some automatic morphology or word endings happening. I am going. So there's some predictive morphology within the system. You can turn this on or off. depending on your user and what you need from the system. Okay. Another tool within Core First Page Set is around engagement. So for some of our users, we're really working on that to and fro of communication and interaction. And that's where phrases can be really handy. Maybe for our really new users where we just want to hook them in to being able to communicate and engage in different situations, or maybe for our more advanced users who we've got some pre-programmed phrases when they go to McDonald's or they're heading to the doctor or something and they need to get their message across efficiently. So the topics tool within the software was obtained through language samples and different user testing. And there is topics for various age ranges. So it is designed that you would hide or delete topics that aren't relevant for your user. When we go into the topics, you'll notice that they're organised a little bit differently to the core vocabulary. They're organised by communicative intent. So if I show you, within core words, you'll notice that things are grouped according to the parts of speech. So we have our pronouns in yellow, verbs in green, nouns in pink. When we go into our topics tool, and I think I will go into our cooking topic, we've got phrases and they're organised slightly differently. Across the top, we have all our questions.
What do you think? Can I help?
Orange are statements.
Let's look at the recipe. It needs something.
Green is our positive comments.
I love cooking.
Red, our negative.
I'm not going to eat that.
So it's organised according to our functions, communicative functions, and you've got some spaces there to add your own phrases. So the idea of topics is that I can efficiently get my message across. I can engage in an activity or a conversation with someone really efficiently. And I can use those phrases in combination with my core words. So I might be saying,
do we have a recipe?
Do we have a recipe? And maybe then I go back to my core words and I want to say for word lists, food and drink, do we have a recipe for pizza?
Pizza,
for example. And then I can go back to my topic if I want to as well. So all these tools are designed to be used with each other. If you're thinking, you know what, we're not ready for some of these tools yet, you can hide them and bring them back later as well. Okay, moving on. Another tool we've got around engagement and that goal of getting our AAC users engaged in interactions and conversations is quickfires. In our quickfires are words that are for gaining attention, for starting, maintaining, ending conversations, greetings and quick messages, repair strategies. So I'll give you a quick example. So I'll go to quickfires. So maybe I'm starting my conversation calling out,
hey,
hey, and then I might go to my core words and create my sentence. Perhaps in my quick fires, I have some common phrases that I need around my personal care. Maybe if I've got sensory needs or some of the positive behaviour supports and strategies I use, you might want those in phrases. So,
reposition me, please. I am uncomfortable. I don't feel very well.
Those quick things that you need efficiently and to get that message clearly across to your communication partner. You might have some questions and different phrases as well. There's a repairs topic. So if you're working with someone who's working on strategic competence and you might want to start teaching them to use some of these phrases like,
I made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
Do you understand?
You understand what I mean?
Can you wait for me?
Can you wait for me to make my message? So they might hit, can you wait for me? And then use their core words or their keyboard to say what they want to say. So quick fires are there to engage and to be involved in conversations. That final goal around literacy, we've got a few ways that Core First can support. Emergent literacy is a step towards literacy, and really to be able to say whatever you want to say. If you can spell, that's the way that you're going to be able to do it. So even if we're using this with emergent users, you'll notice that the keyboard tool is still available. I guess like I said, our ultimate goal is conventional literacy. So within the software, you've got different keyboard layouts, and you've also got the ability to turn off the symbols either across the whole of Core First, or you might like to turn the symbols off certain sight words and words that that person knows already. So within Core First, down the side here, you've always got a keyboard. You can change the layout from a QWERTY, ABCD, different layouts. You've got text prediction at the top.
A. And.
You might decide that really you want to start modeling spelling as a way to communicate. So you've got the access to the keyboard. Maybe your person is just starting to learn the alphabet and you start to model, oh, apple, I like apples, A for apple. So we're starting to model first sounds, because first sounds can be a great clue to give your communication partner if your word isn't in your device. So keyboard is in there. The last thing I want to show you around engagement is some behaviour supports located within the topics. We know for communication to be really successful, we have to be in a space to communicate. We have to be able to know what's happening and feel really comfortable. For some of our users who are starting to, I guess, regulate their own behaviour and supports, this might be a useful tool for you. So within the topics, there are first then boards, visual schedules, timers, scripts, and stories as well. So to access these supports, you go into your topics, and maybe again, I'll go back to my cooking one. Cooking. And you'll see down the side here, supports, the life ring for supports. I've got a visual timer, which I can set. You'll notice across the top here, it's in red for 5 minutes, and you've got the bar going down. I can do a first then of a recipe.
First, gather the ingredients. Then, follow the recipe.
And you can customize all these supports. It's a bit more of a first next schedule. There's some scripts around cooking. And also that.
There are many things I can make when I am in the kitchen.
Story.
I have to know the rules to follow when cooking. When I have adult help, I can cook on the stove. I can make things like toasted sandwich and soup.
So Tobii Dynavox have given you some ideas, but again, it's fully customizable, so you would edit and change it to the supports that your person needs. So they're there as well to help our users engage in activities and conversations. So just as we're finishing off, I'll talk a little bit about the supports that are available within the Core First page set. They've really designed this to be more than just a piece of software or a piece of AAC software. It also includes a lot of support for implementation as well. So within the Tobii Dynavox ecosystem for Snap, they have a free companion app called Pathways for Core First. You can download this on your iPad or on your Windows 10 computer, and it's full of resources around getting started with the Core First page set, lesson plans, top tips like modeling, creating positive communication environments, and it's also got a lot of the resources and articles and research behind the Core First page set. So if you haven't come across Pathways for Core First yet, I'd really recommend that you download it and have a look. It's really good for our communication partners as well. Also, within the pathways, there is a goals grid. So again, coming back to that goal around growth of language, Tobii Dynavox have given you this goals grid to help move that AAC user forward across the 4 areas of competency, and then the 5th that they added in 2014 around psychosocial competency as well. So when you launch into Pathways for Core First, you'll notice in the goals grid, you've got linguistic, operational, social, strategic competencies and goals across 5 ability levels from emergent to independent. So it can be a really nice way to work with AAC users and their caregivers, setting goals and mapping progress as you move along the AAC journey. The Pathways for Core First is useful for communication partners of all skill levels. For me personally, I find it really useful for planning, for resource sharing, and for tracking progress on that goals grid. So I don't tend to use all the getting started part of the app because I'm really familiar with it, but it does really help me in working with clients and their caregivers, setting goals, showing them short videos of what modeling means and giving them some lesson or kind of ideas on how they can use Core First in their everyday activities. If you're really new to AAC, it really steps you through step by step of how to set up the app, why it's set up as it is, how you might edit it, and why you might edit different parts of the app. So have a look if you haven't already. There's also a range of printable, non-electronic, low-tech resources available for Core First. I mentioned that you can print from the app. So if you've done lots of programming and you want to print off the pages you've done, you can do that directly from the software. You can also download some tabbed communication books that Tobii Dynavox have put together for us, and also some core vocabulary boards as well. So they're all free to download. Might be a good thing to have in your toolkit of resources. Perhaps if you're waiting for a trial of the Core First software or a device, you can get started with some non-electronic options. They've also integrated Boardmaker Online into the Core First page set. Don't know if anyone at the webinar has looked into Boardmaker Online yet, but you can pretty much make activities and allocate them to your student, and they can access those activities through the Boardmaker Student Centre within Tobii Dynavox Snap. So there are some pre-prepared activities, emergent games. There's some good access games if you're working on touch skills or eye gaze skills where you're wanting to work on accuracy. You might like to explore those. And there's also the Core First Learning electronic books and activities in there as well, based around learning core vocabulary. The Core First Learning that's in Boardmaker Online is again developed by Tobii Dynavox's clinical team, and the idea is to give you a bit of a program and teach our AAC users the meaning, use and placement of core words in their system. So there's interactive on-screen reading and writing, language activities. So there's quite a few fun things to do. So if you haven't looked up Core First Learning, again, it's all accessible for free. So it's available there for you. Back to the goal around communication partners and trying to make things as easy as possible for people. There's a getting started guide, quick training cards. If you haven't come across those yet, I'll quickly show you. They are just quick guides that you can print off, again, free to download, that gives information about setting up, caring for your device, a bit of a glossary around the different tools that are available, information about using AAC, some different activities, as well. So those training cards might be useful if you've got someone just starting out. There's a range of webinars and supports. So if you want more information around any of the tools in the background to Core First, Toby Dynavox has a range of free recorded webinars as well. So I'm going to wrap up. If you've missed any of the Link Assistive webinars, jump onto our website into the recorded webinars section, and you can go back and look at any that interest you. We've got some more live webinars coming up around the Core First switch scanning page set, aphasia, and the text-based page set as well. So if there's any other topics that people want, also let us know. So I'll leave you to it. Here's our contact details. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. I'm going to stop the recording so I can answer those for you.